A hand lifts a glass in a modern kitchen. There is ice inside it. There is a label on the bottle. There may be music in the room, people laughing nearby, someone saying cheers. It feels completely modern, but the story inside that glass is older than bars, older than bottles, older than cities, maybe even older than farming itself. The first drink in human history was probably not poured from a clay jar by a king. It was probably not served at a feast. It may have been found on the ground, a piece of fruit, soft, overripe, split open by heat, insects, and time. Inside it, invisible yeast was already working. Sugar was changing. The smell was becoming sharp. The taste was becoming strange. And one ancient human, hungry enough or curious enough, picked it up and ate it. Then something happened. The world felt slightly warmer. Fear became softer. The body felt loose. The mind changed. That may have been humanity's first meeting with alcohol. Not as a product, not as a luxury, but as an accident. Long before humans understood chemistry, nature was already making alcohol. Fruit falls, honey ferments, grains get wet, wild yeast floats through the air, and lands wherever sugar is waiting. Fermentation does not need permission. It only needs time. For ancient humans, this must have seemed almost magical. Food could rot and become dangerous, but sometimes it could rot and become powerful. That line was thin. Too much decay could make you sick. The right kind of decay could make you feel different. And difference is something humans notice. Imagine a group of early foragers moving through a forest edge. They know the bitter plants. They know the safe berries. They know the smell of meat that has gone bad. Survival depends on memory. Then someone finds fruit that smells unusual. Not fresh, not completely rotten. Sweet, sour, warm. They taste it. Maybe they laugh. Maybe they stumble. Maybe they sleep deeply that night. Maybe they come back the next day looking for more. This is where the mystery begins, because the first alcohol was not invented. It was discovered. The question is when humans stopped finding it by accident and started making it on purpose. Archaeology gives us clues, but not a single first moment. Alcohol disappears easily. Wood decays. Fruit vanishes. Liquid dries. The oldest drinkers left no written recipe, so archaeologists look for ghosts, tiny chemical traces, residue inside ancient pottery, wear marks inside stone mortars, starch grains changed by heat, water, and fermentation. The evidence is quiet, but it is there. At Rakfet Cave, near what is now Haifa in Israel, researchers studied ancient stone mortars linked to the Natufian people. These were not farmers in the modern sense. They were hunter-gatherers living in a world just before agriculture changed everything. Inside those mortars, scientists found signs that cereal grains had been processed in a way consistent with early beer, like fermentation. The date was astonishing. Around 13,000 years ago. That means people may have been making a kind of beer before full farming societies had taken over. Not clear golden beer, not cold beer in a glass, something thicker, cloudier, probably sour, probably low in alcohol, more like a fermented grain porridge than anything sold today. But it mattered, and the place matters too. Rakfet Cave was a burial site. That means this ancient drink may not have been casual. It may have belonged to ritual, to mourning, to memory, to the strange human need to gather when someone dies and turn grief into shared action. This changes the story. Maybe alcohol did not begin as a party drink. Maybe it began as a social technology, a way to bring people together, a way to make a group feel like one body, a way to mark that something important had happened. Thousands of years later, in Jiahu, in ancient China, people were making a fermented drink from rice, honey, and fruit. In Georgia, early communities were producing grape wine. Across different places, different ingredients, and different cultures, humans kept returning to the same strange transformation. Sweet things became intoxicating things. Grain became ceremony. Fruit became memory. Honey became medicine, pleasure, and mystery. Why did this happen again and again? Because alcohol touches many human needs at once. It offers calories. It preserves certain foods for a while. It can make water and mixtures less risky in some contexts. But those are only part of the story. Alcohol also changes emotion. It lowers fear. It loosens speech. It makes strangers feel less strange. For a species that survives by cooperation, that is powerful. Humans are not the strongest animals. We do not have claws. We do not run the fastest. We survive by sharing attention, by trusting faces, by sitting together long enough to become a group. Anything that changes the feeling inside a group can become important. A fire does this, a song does this, a ritual does this, and alcohol can do it too. That may be the real reason the first drink mattered. Not because one person felt dizzy, but because a group felt connected. Picture an ancient night. A cave wall flickers with firelight. Primitive people sit close together, not because life is easy, but because darkness outside is real. There are animals beyond the fire, cold beyond the bodies, death nearby in memory. Someone passes a rough container. The drink is strange, sour, thick, alive with bubbles. Nobody knows about yeast. Nobody knows about molecules. But everyone knows the feeling. The talking changes. The silence changes. The dead feel closer. The living feel less alone. This is not just drinking. This is meaning. And once humans discover meaning, they rarely leave it alone. They repeat it. They shape it. They build rules around it. They give it to gods. They bring it to weddings. They pour it at funerals. They use it to seal promises, welcome guests, celebrate harvests, and survive sorrow. A strange liquid becomes a cultural tool, and this is the twist. Alcohol may have helped build civilization not because it made humans less rational, but because it made groups more emotionally synchronized. That does not mean alcohol was harmless. It never was. The same substance that can bond people can also damage bodies, families, and judgment. Ancient humans did not discover a simple gift. They discovered a dangerous doorway. Step through carefully, and it could become ritual. Step through too far, and it could become ruin. That tension has never left us. Modern humans still live inside it. Today, the glass has changed. The bottle has a brand. The room has electric lights. The music comes from speakers. But the old pattern remains. People still drink to celebrate, to mourn, to relax, to belong, to make a first date less frightening, to make a party feel warmer, to make a painful day feel farther away. We tell ourselves this is modern behavior. But it may be ancient behavior wearing modern clothes. The first drink in human history was not just about alcohol. It was about transformation. A fruit transformed by yeast. A grain transformed by water and time. A gathering transformed into a ritual. A frightened animal transformed into a social human. Maybe that is why the story feels so deep, because alcohol sits at the border between nature and culture. It begins with microbes, but ends with memory. It begins with sugar, but ends with songs, funerals, feasts, and promises. Somewhere in the deep past, a human tasted something that had changed, and in that moment, they learned that the world could change them back. Every glass since then carries a trace of that discovery. Not always wisely, not always safely, but always with history inside it. So the first drink in human history was probably not elegant. It was not clean. It was not served in crystal. It may have been a bruised fruit in a dirty hand, a sour mash in a stone hollow, a cloudy liquid passed around a fire, but inside it was something enormous. The idea that nature could alter the human mind, and that humans could turn that alteration into culture. The first drink was not just a drink. It was a door, and once we opened it, we never fully closed it again.